Kris, honey, is that you, girl? Kris Jenner is almost completely unrecognizable in these new photos. The Kardashians and Jenners are never afraid to change up their looks, and matriarch Kris Jenner is the latest member of the family to try a very drastic new style. The 69-year-old momager, famously known for her Raven pixie cut, debuted a longer wet look bob in an Instagram carousel she shared back in March of this year. Jenner wore her dark locks parted in the middle and tucked behind her ears, except for one strand that kind of curled on her forehead. Her new do was the perfect complement to daughter Khloe Kardashian, who styled her own brunette bob as shown in some of the photos Kris posted, nearly identical to her mom's. Fans immediately did a double take upon seeing Jenner's new hair, shocked at how much her daughters, Kourtney Kardashian, Kim Kardashian, Khloe, Kendall Jenner, and Kylie Jenner resembled their mom. Some commenters thought she perfectly resembled Kim the most. One person wrote, "For a minute, I thought it was Kim dressed like Kris. I was like, Kim's looking more like Kris these days." Another user said, "Why are you both Khloe and Kim at the same time?" While Kim Kardashian has been at the center of attention during the Paris robbery trial, her mother seems to have also been turning heads though. Most people are saying she's almost unrecognizable compared to how she looked literally just a year ago, looking impossibly youthful. Some even asked if she's got that Pharrell Williams vampire potion on hand. Kris Jenner has admitted to having some cosmetic work done before, including a facelift and using Botox, but plastic surgeons have said that Kris's new age-defying looks may be the result of very subtle aesthetic augmentations and skin rejuvenating treatments. Plastic surgeon Dr. Lisa Frederick said Kris Jenner appears to have had a combination of aesthetic treatments to maintain her youthful and lifted appearance. It's quite possible she's undergone a surgical facelift or mini lift. The tightness around her face, jawline, and neck would be, challenging to achieve through non-invasive methods alone, particularly in someone over 60. She continued to say, her cheeks also appear very full and more contoured, likely due to dermal fillers used to restore mid-face volume and create a more sculpted look. Fillers, typically injections of collagen or hyaluronic acid into the skin, are designed to add volume to the face, so reducing the appearance, of fine lines and wrinkles, with effects lasting for up to 18 months. Now, Dr. Frederick also suspects that Kris may have had lower face filler to enhance her jawline. She said her jawline is also noticeably sharp and defined, which is a possible sign of lower face filler to enhance structure and balance facial proportion. She also said that, the mother's glowing skin may be the result of skin rejuvenating treatments. Now, Kris has previously admitted to some cosmetic work, including, a facelift and using Botox, but she's denied having a nose job, despite so many people speculating that she has had one. In 2019, she said, "My routine is pretty simple, but it has always been my entire life. A massage, a great facial, a manicure, a little Botox, and I'm good to go. I'm pretty traditional. As long as I'm clean and scrubbed up, I'm a happy camper." And who doesn't love Botox? For me, it's been really great. Mariah Carey exposed Kris Jenner and came with the receipts, okay? While promoting her 8-part docuseries Mariah's World, the iconic Mariah Carey sat down for a 2016 interview with Complex in a private dining room at the posh Malibu eatery Nobu. Now, the Kardashian clan was reportedly filming in a private dining room just 15 yards away. Carey was asked what fans could expect from her, and things took a weird turn when Carey told the magazine her series would not be a put it all out there type of show in the style of the Kardashians. She said, "Some of us talk about other people and what they do and la 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 la, but I'm not that person." Wow. Well, it was reported she showed some footage she had of Kris Jenner acting inappropriate in an attempt to get better ratings. Now, it's a mystery how Mariah obtained that footage, but hey, it is Mariah Carey after all. Wendy Williams. She seems to hold a special disdain for the reality show matriarch and relishes every opportunity to take, jabs at her. Wendy said some nasty things about Kris Jenner and exposed her parenting style, and said on the record, "With Kris, I just find it very uncomfortable that she has her entire family on the line, but her choice is her choice. My choice is not to push my kid out there and be that kid. I don't want to push my family out to be that family. Visual celebrity is really overrated, and I don't want that for my kid." When Jenner's ex-son-in-law, rapper Kanye West, was admitted to UCLA Medical Center following his breakdown and abrupt cancellation of his St. Pablo concert tour, Jenner was attending the Angel Ball in New York City, honoring her late husband Robert Kardashian. Now, Kim Kardashian immediately flew out to be by Kanye without Mama Jenner. The next day, Williams went on air and slammed Jenner for being opportunistic, questioning why Jenner was honoring Robert in the first place and why she hadn't rushed to be by Kanye. She said, "I feel like Kris should have been there. She could have jumped on the next plane. It's not like you need to be there to honor Robert. You didn't exactly turn out to be the most honorable wife when Robert Robert was here, word on the street about alleged infidelity. Now, West eventually recovered and appears to have made, had a good relationship with Jenner, but we're not sure if Kris ever fully recovered from William's burn. June Shannon, aka Mama June. When Here Comes Honey Boo Boo hit the airways in 2012, it was an immediate hit, and the show soon started a ratings turf war that reportedly made Kris Jenner feel like a new family was stealing the spotlight from her Kardashian clan. Now, according to a source, they said to say Kris is not a fan of Here Comes Honey Boo Boo is an understatement. She thinks the Thompsons are classless, unlike her family, and can't understand, why America is so fascinated by them. Kris especially has a strong dislike for June, claiming the beauty pageant world is vile and that June is a bad mom for exploiting Alana in that way. One could make the case that Shannon learned how it's done by watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and that's exactly how June, fired back. She pulled out the receipts of all the things Kris Jenner has done to expose her own children for fame and for money. Denise Brown. In 2011, Jenner released her memoir, Kris Jenner and All Things Kardashian, and in its pages, she wrote candidly about Nicole Brown Simpson's passing. Highly criticized at the time of publication for profiting off her former friend's brutal demise, nobody was more vocal and disgusted than Nicole's sister, Denise Brown. Now, Denise said, Kris Jenner is pathetic. I think most people will question her intentions of writing about my sister's unaliving. I'm really disappointed in Kris. For the past 2.5 years, my family has had some relative peace regarding all of this stuff. Now that Kris has brought it up again, she's split open the healing wounds. For her to write about it is like reliving it all over again. My poor mother is taking it really hard. The Kardashians reportedly made about $65 million in 2011, prompting Denise to ask what many people at the time were also thinking, haven't they made enough? Nicole has been gone for 17 years at that point. Please, Kris, don't profit off my sister's horrible demise, is what she said.
Kim Kardashian is feuding with one of her sisters again. She's been called out by Khloe with her shady Instagram posts, as the pair have been fighting on the new episode of the Kardashians. Now, in the most recent episode of the Kardashians, the sisters clashed over Khloe's parenting, with Kim suggesting that Khloe's 2 kids rule her life. Now, this came about after Khloe turned down a trip to Paris for Fashion Week because she wanted to be home with her kids. Now, last week's episode also documented their family vacation to Aspen, which took place in January. On the trip, Kim called out Khloe for FaceTiming her daughter during their group dinner. Now, Kim again was annoyed with this. Kim said in a confessional, "Here we go again. She just is so stuck on what's going on at home that she can't have a good time," before later describing Khloe constantly FaceTiming her kids as annoying. Several viewers of the reality show have since called Kim out for shaming Khloe, and fans have actually done the math and figured out that Khloe was seemingly shading Kim on Instagram around the very same time that they were quietly clashing. Now, back in January and February, around the same time as the Aspen trip, Khloe shared multiple quotes that are seemingly aimed at Kim. 20 years from now, the only people who will remember if you worked late are your kids, one quote read. Raise your children to be impressed by kindness, loyalty, and humility, not just wealth, possessions, and power, read another. Then in 2007, Kim and her then boyfriend, Ray J, tape was leaked online, and it's how Kim rose to fame. Now, Kim sued Vivid Entertainment for ownership of the tape. In late April 2007, Kim dropped the suit and settled for $5 million. Now, the blame was put on Ray J for releasing the video, but after all these years, Ray J maintains his innocence. He said, "I've sat in the shadows for over 14 years, allowing the Kardashians to use my name, to abuse my name, make billions of dollars over a decade and a half, talking about a topic I've never really spoken about. I've never leaked anything. I've never leaked a tape in my life." Now, he claims that Kim and Kris negotiated the release of the tape in the early 2000s. Now, Kris apparently watched 3 different Ray J and Kim and chose to leak the one that gave her daughter a better look. Now, if that's true, that is just gross. Now, Kris Jenner has denied playing a role in getting her daughter tape released, and even took a lie detector test on the James Corden show, but Ray J is still adamant that they did help. Now, looking back, Ray J said he is embarrassed of the tape. Now, Kim's whole relationship with Kris Humphries was something else. They dated for 6 months before they got married. Now, Kris wasn't really into all the fame, but Kim wanted it all. Now, their relationship made them a lot of money. The reality star was paid $1.5 million by People for their wedding photos alone. They also got $30,000 for their engagement announcement and another massive chunk of cash from both her bridal shower and her honeymoon pictures. Not to mention the bonus check they got from airing their wedding on Keeping Up. Now, afterwards though, after 72 days, Kim filed for divorce. Now, Kris felt bamboozled and cited fraud as the reason for wanting an annulment. Kim's paperwork stated irreconcilable differences, and she later discussed the marriage on her show and revealed her mother encouraged her to run on her wedding day if she needed to. Now, following their split, Kris's lawyer told the Los Angeles fraud court that Kim had no intention of proceeding with this marriage. It was basically a tactic for the benefit of her show and to make money. But Jonathan Jackson, who worked with the reality star between 2007 and 2009, said that the pair's union was a publicity stunt. Speaking on Good Day LA back in 2011, Jackson said 2 weeks prior to her wedding, she knew it was not something she wanted to do. Unfortunately, they were obligated to honor contracts with the E! Network, which had TV rights. Otherwise, they would have owed a lot of people a lot of money. Now, after their divorce and sketchy relationship, Kris exposed some of Kim's secrets. Back in 2013, Kris revealed that the proposal for the show was not a surprise and that Kim was aware of it, so the scene where she seemed moved and surprised in is super fake. In fact, Kris went further to say that they had to reshoot the proposal because Kim didn't like her reaction. Kim told Kris how, where, and when to propose. It was absolutely no surprise to her whatsoever, a source told Radar Online. First of all, Kris proposed in the middle of the day, and he had to do that because it would create better lighting to capture the moment. Now, Kim looked surprised but knew it was happening. She was in full hair and makeup, and she's always in on the show. But all of his ideas were shot down by production officials and Kim. Now, another person she got married to was Kanye West. They got married and had 4 children together, and they were happy until things started to go south in 2020. In July 2020, Kanye acknowledged the possibility of Kim ending their marriage, and later that month, he wrote on Twitter that he had been attempting to divorce Kim. Now, he also wrote that the Kardashian family was attempting to lock him up. In January 2021, CNN reported that the couple were discussing divorce, and a month later, Kim filed for divorce, agreeing to joint custody of their children and declining spousal support from each other. The divorce settlement was finalized in November 2022, and after they divorced, Kim dated Pete Davidson, which Kanye did not like, and he took a lot of digs at Pete and Kim. He posted online about it saying, "You are lying and are liars. Y'all basically kidnapped Chicago on her birthday so she couldn't remember her father not being there, so there. Also, I should see my children 100% of the time, but since there's a separation, it should have been 50% of the time. Y'all wouldn't have played with Donda like that in Jesus' name." Now, the Kardashians, for their part, have repeatedly denied Kanye's claims about Chicago's birthday, and after this rant, Khloe commented on Kanye's posts, begging him to please stop tearing Kimberly down, adding that she and her family have had enough of the false birthday narrative. Now, at the 2022 Met Gala, Kim arrived in the iconic Happy Birthday Mr. President Marilyn Monroe dress. Now, Kim said the idea of wearing the late actress's dress felt like the perfect representation of America. She was granted special access to wear it as it is kept in a museum, and people did not like this. They thought it was unfair and in poor taste to take the dress of an icon and have Kim wear it. Now, besides that, Kim revealed that she had to lose 16 pounds in 3 weeks in order to fit into the gown. She said, "It was such a challenge, it was like a role, I was determined to fit in it. I'd wear a sauna suit twice a day, run on the treadmill, completely cut out all sugar and all carbs, and just eat the cleanest veggies and protein. I didn't starve myself, but I was so strict." Following this, many slammed Kim for appearing to promote a toxic and dangerous mindset about body image and weight loss. She said, "To me, it was like, okay, Christian Bale can do it for a movie role and that is acceptable. It's all the same to me. I wasn't saying, hey everyone, why don't you go lose this weight in a short period of time." Now, her losing all that weight in a short period of time though really rubbed people the wrong way. And finally, we have Kim's short-lived feud with Khloe Grace Moretz. In July 2016, when Kim had her own celebrity feud going on with Taylor Taylor Swift, she posted her supposed proof on Snapchat of Taylor lying, and fans went crazy. This annoyed Chloe Grace Moretz though, who tweeted, "Everyone in the industry needs to get their heads out of a hole and look around and realize what's actually happening in the real world. Stop wasting your voice on something so petulant and unimportant." Minutes later, jumping to her big sister's defense, Khloe Kardashian responded with a collage of pictures. Now, the first picture was of Chloe Grace at the beach, and the next photo was a photo of an unknown blonde-haired woman who she presumably thought was Chloe in the sea suffering an embarrassing and revealing bikini mishap. Now, Khloe Kardashian captioned the image, "Is this the hole you're referring to?" at Chloe G. Moretz, and Chloe straight away tweeted back, "Fact check, first photo is me filming my movie Neighbors 2, the second photo is some girl who was wrongly photographed." But this feud didn't end there though. In 2016, Kim turned heads for sharing a full frontal nude selfie with only black bars to protect her modesty on Twitter. She captioned the photo with, "When you're like, I have nothing to wear, LOL." Then, out of nowhere, Chloe responded to the picture by commenting, "I truly hope you realize how important setting goals are for young women, teaching them we have so much more to offer than just our bodies." Now, Kim didn't take this lying down and replied back, "Let's all welcome at Chloe G. Moretz to Twitter since no one knows who she is. Your nylon cover is cute, boo." The Kar Jenners grew up on screen for all of us to see, and while there was drama on screen, apparently there was some behind the scenes as well. When the show first started in 2007, it said that the Kardashians, especially Kendall and Kylie, were very nice to the crew for the show. But as the years went on and they got more famous, they turned into monsters who had no respect for those who worked on the show. According to The Sun, the Kardashians repeatedly berated crew members and made unreasonable demands on anyone in their path. Additionally, the girls often try to direct what happens or demand multiple reshoots of simple moments on the show to place themselves in the best light they can at the expense of the rest of the family and crew, a source said. Now, this isn't a good look for them at all, and they should honestly be ashamed. Now, Kim Kardashian's marriage to Kris Humphries was something, let me tell you. Now, they dated for 6 months before they got married, and this might be due to all the money that they were making or were going to make. Kim was paid $1.5 million by People magazine for their wedding photos alone. They also got $300,000 for their engagement announcement, and then was given even more for both her bridal shower and honeymoon pictures. Not to mention, the pair got a bonus check from airing their wedding on Keeping Up. But things went downhill after that though, as just 72 days later, Kim filed for divorce from Kris. Yep, the marriage only lasted 72 days, which is honestly just embarrassing. Now, Kris was blindsided by this as he felt that they were truly in love, but he cited fraud as a reason for wanting an annulment. Now, Kim's paperwork stated irreconcilable differences for hers. Now, following their split, Kris's lawyer told a Los Angeles fraud court that Kim had no intentions of proceeding with this marriage. Jonathan Jackson, who worked with Kim between 2007 and 2009, said the pair's union was a publicity stunt. Speaking on Good Day LA back in 2011, Jackson said, 2 weeks prior to her wedding, she knew it was not something she wanted to do. Unfortunately, they were obligated to honor contracts with E!, the network which had TV rights, otherwise they would have owed a lot of people a lot of money. Now, this is so unfortunate, especially for Kris, as he was practically used. And then there's everything that happened with Lamar Odom and Khloe. Throughout 2013, countless stories circulated about Lamar cheating on his wife Khloe. Later on, Lamar admitted to struggling with addiction and infidelity from early on in his marriage to Khloe. There were too many strippers to count, he said in his memoir. Now, Khloe actually grew suspicious and hired a private investigator to track her husband. And while all this was going on, the couple put on a happy front on Keeping Up with the Kardashians and their own spin-off show, Khloe and Lamar. Now, in 2013, an insider claimed Khloe had not only photographic proof that Lamar cheated on her with at least 5 different women, but had copies of text messages between Lamar and the other women. She is a very smart woman and knew she had to get the proof proof because of the infidelity clause in their prenup, the source said. Though Khloe would later talk about Lamar's cheating on Keeping Up, she didn't do so until his cheating was widely publicized. And all of Lamar's issues were publicized by the Kardashians themselves. You see, not everyone in the family knew about the substance misuse and the cheating, but someone in the family was tired of it. It said that it wasn't until Rob Kardashian learned of Lamar's dark secrets that he helped push Lamar out. While it hasn't been validated, Lamar still claims to this day that it was the Kardashians who revealed his dark secrets to the press, which then drove a wedge between him and Khloe. Now, Lamar even said that Kris Jenner orchestrated an incident after their divorce to get more press surrounding their broken relationship. But of course, no one in this family would admit to all of that though. And then there's the fact that pretty much all the Jenners have gotten some sort of plastic surgery and have never admitted to it. In addition to that, some of them have even had their plastic surgery removed or reversed and lie and say they've been working out or have just been eating healthy. But I mean, we all know the truth. Now, a lot of people have pointed out that Kim has had liposuction and fat implants, but she has denied it. And then, after her daughter North was born, it was even more apparent that she got more work done, but once again, she denied it, but we seem to know the truth. There have been rumors since the beginning of time that Khloe Kardashian is not actually a Kardashian at all, and now we may have some proof. Numerous sources have reported that Kris Jenner told Robert Kardashian repeatedly that Khloe was not his daughter. According to RadarOnline.com, they also claim Kris paid her hairdresser, Alex Rowland, $30 million in a non-disclosure agreement to keep quiet about the situation, as some people claim that he's actually her father. Now, this makes sense because Kris Jenner is known for being a serial cheater, so it very well could be a possibility. Now, Kim Kardashian was investigated by the FBI after getting $250,000 in a trash bag. Yep, you heard that right. Now, according to a March 2023 Bloomberg Businessweek report, Kim was questioned by the feds as a part of an investigation and a mogul at the center of an embezzlement scandal. Now, in 2019, Kim told the FBI that she once played baccarat in a Las Vegas casino with Lowe and others when she ended up winning big. Now, Lowe allegedly told Kim to keep the chips she won, which were worth $350,000. Now, Kim told the FBI when she went to the casino counter to cash out, she was handed $250,000 in a trash bag full of 100 bills. Now, she put the trash bag full of cash in her carry-on bag and boarded a Southwest Airlines flight back to Los Angeles, the FBI agents wrote. Now, on a later trip to Vegas, Kim collected the remaining $100,000, again in a trash bag full of cash, which is honestly just weird. Now, Kim Kardashian has been accused of mistreating her workers by not paying them, which is messed up. In May 2021, Kim was sued by 7 workers accusing her of wage theft, retaliation, and more. The complaint alleged that cleaning and maintenance workers at her Santa Monica home weren't paid for all the hours they worked, didn't get overtime pay, weren't given required meal and rest breaks, and didn't get any pay stubs or documents related to employment. Kim has largely tried to deflect the blame by saying this was the fault of a company she hired to manage the workers. Now, the case, which was ongoing, has been pushed under the rug by the family, who never addressed the scandal themselves. And apparently, a lot of Keeping Up with the Kardashians was fake. Now, Kris Humphries spoke out about this after his short-lived marriage to Kim. He told a source, "Kris says that Kim's reality shows are a total sham. He doesn't think there's anything real about the shows at all." Now, the source also references one of the most quoted scenes of the show, in which Kim loses an earring after being thrown into the ocean by Kris during a family trip. Kim was crying hysterically, but then miraculously, one of the younger sisters found the earring in the ocean, where the group had been swimming. But they said that Kim didn't actually lose her earring, that the move was a publicity stunt to get views, the source said. Which, yeah, I do honestly believe this point. And finally, we have to address Kim's adult film that was released with her ex Ray J. Now in 2007, the tape was leaked online, and it's how Kim rose to fame. The talk of the tape was a prominent topic on the first season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and it made Ray J a villain. But Ray J has since come out and said that he had nothing to do with the tape being released, and that it was all up to Kim and her mother Kris. He said, "I sat in the shadow for over 14 years, allowing the Kardashians to use my name, to abuse my name, making billions of dollars over a decade and a half, talking about a topic I've never really spoken about. I've never leaked anything. I've never leaked a tape in my life." Now, Ray J claims that Kim and Kris negotiated the release of the tape in the early 2000s. Kris apparently watched 3 different Ray J and Kim tapes and chose to leak the one that gave her daughter a better look, which honestly is just gross. Now, Ray J also claimed that Kim has the videotapes in a box under her bed and that he's never been in possession of the tapes. Now, Kris Jenner has denied playing a role in the whole scandal, but Ray J says she's lying and that it was all her plan.
Back in 2014 to 2016, Kris really did have to work to prevent some photos from leaking. The unexpected part was that they were her own private images because someone had hacked her iCloud. Christina, aka the woman that hacked the iCloud, was indicted by a grand jury in 2016. Not only did she hack the cloud, she also sent some pretty messed up texts to Kris and co, assistant, then husband, and other family members. She also, I guess, sent texts pretending to be Kris to Kris's kids and partner. She claimed that she put tracking devices on their cars and would message people that Kris had serious diseases, but it goes even further. The hacker also impersonated the famous matriarch over the phone, allegedly even occasionally calling the authorities with fake emergencies or swatting the family. Swatting referring to calling in fake emergencies that are serious enough to have someone's home checked out by SWAT teams. Just overall being an absolute headache and causing a lot of heartache. Then of course there were the accusations regarding social media, because if the hacker got into the iCloud, it really would only be a matter of time before social media sites like Instagram would be compromised. Allegedly, the hacker posted demeaning things about Kris's family as Kris, even going so far as to post phone numbers. And for a family as famous as this, that really is a big problem. Plus, no one wants their mom roasting them on the internet. It was also revealed that the stalker somehow got access to Kourtney's AOL account, so that means she didn't just get the username and password, but answers to the security questions too. The hacker did allegedly get access to the famous sister's emails. It actually ended up happening again with someone else in the family, however, the persecutors were reluctant to share their name. Per E! The stalker was indicted for 6 counts of stalking, 4 counts of computer hacking, 1 count of extortion by threat, and 4 counts of aggravated identity theft related to the computer hacking offenses. Just like a laundry list of bad things. This isn't even the first time that Kris Jenner has been hacked, and I almost wonder if Christina was helped by a previous incident. Back in 2013, Kris Jenner and Kim Kardashian's contact information was leaked by hackers and posted to a website with just a bunch of other celebrities' personal data. Just a few years ago, an unauthorized photo of Khloe Kardashian was accidentally shared, leading to the famous family doing everything they could to scrub it from the internet. Here's the thing, the photo isn't scandalous, it isn't unflattering, in my opinion, she isn't doing anything offensive. It is literally just a photo of Khloe in a bikini by the pool. She's holding her phone in one hand and smiling for the camera, and that is literally it, that's the whole photo. However, there isn't any filter on the photo. Many photos posted by the sisters and, well, a lot of big celebrities, they use filters to smooth out the skin, smooth out the makeup, shape the body, whatever, right? People are used to seeing an airbrushed look to the family that getting an unfiltered iPhone photo shot was definitely a moment. However, they do occasionally post unfiltered photos, so why was this one a big deal? Well, they said the internet couldn't have it and started contacting people to take it down or risk legal action. So pretty soon, people started sharing it simply because they were told no. Then it became people wanting to see the photo that people were risking legal action from one of Hollywood's richest families for. Then people just being confused why she would want the picture to disappear considering she looks good. Eventually, fans got answers. The reason it had to go was simply because it was unauthorized. One of the many Kardashian or Jenner assistants posted the photo without, I guess, checking the right avenues. The official statement from Chief KKW Marketing Officer Tracy Romulus was, the color edited photo was taken of Khloe during a private family gathering and posted to social media without permission by mistake by an assistant. Khloe looks beautiful, but it is within the right of the copyright owner to not want an image not intended to be published taken down. For a family of women that have had their every move picked apart, it's understandable that they would want to control exactly what gets out there about them. Of course, the picture is still out on the internet. Khloe ended up posting some photos herself shortly after this went viral. Right now, having a photo with Diddy is like a guilty verdict to the internet, and Kris Jenner doesn't just have one, she's got a whole collection, plus past interviews with him, even one where he admitted that he once had a crush on her. Yeah, so the Kardashian Jenners, it's no secret that to help maintain their status, they interact with other people at the same level of fame, and like it or not, Diddy was one of those people. He was at the top of the food chain when it came to hosting parties and having famous friends. Kris Jenner posted many selfies with the man over the years. It appears that she was quite close with him, and one can assume that she and her daughters received many invites to his parties. I mean, we know that they did because they have been photographed and videotaped at them many times. This has led to people wondering what the famous family knew and if they kept anything quiet. Khloe once spoke about her experience at a Diddy party in a 2014 episode of the reality show. She made claims that many of the attendees were unclothed, and then previously in the episode she had been talking about all the big names that she saw there, and now of course people are wondering if she was at just like a regular Diddy party or the type that he is now in jail for. But back to Kris Jenner, because there is an absolutely wild story circulating online right now regarding the matriarch. One woman that is claimed to be a Diddy victim has shared a troubling story involving not just the disgraced rapper, but also Kris Jenner and Jennifer Lopez. Adria English joined the Lionel B Show podcast to share a story from someone she knew that was allegedly a Diddy victim. She claims that her homegirl was harmed in a ritual to conjure up demons, that J-Lo was damaging her skin using glass, and that Kris Jenner watched. English claims that in order for the girl to escape, she had to pierce Kris's shoulder with the glass. English says that if you look back at past interviews, Kris says that she'd once been pierced. Different word, but hopefully you get it. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find anything that indicated that Kardashian has ever been involved in an incident like that. She doesn't appear to have a scar on either of her shoulders either, and she's worn a lot of clothes that's shown off her shoulders and collarbone. The interview has gathered about 710,000 views on YouTube, with a comment section overwhelmingly in favor of English. Again, I couldn't find anything to support her claims, but Diddy's trial is coming up very soon, so maybe we will get answers then. In an early season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you might have seen Kim and Kourtney pretty upset over some photos nearly being leaked to the press. Well, fan speculation and fact go hand in hand. Kim K's first husband seemingly wasn't the nicest guy. There are court documents that accuse the man of being physically and mentally rough with the reality TV star. Of course, this was like before the show, so we never actually saw any of that on camera, but the description of the alleged events are hard to read. Anyways, they speculate that this ex-husband was threatening to release some photos of Kourtney, or like Kim and Kourtney, that had them in compromising positions on their own, and some people even claim with each other, which is a whole other can of worms and is generally proven to be false or a salacious rumor. The photos that have been confirmed to nearly have been leaked by the ex, they only show Kourtney. However, she isn't in a great position, and to make matters worse, the family claims that she wasn't 18 yet, so yeah, no wonder they didn't want this hitting the press. People speculate that Kim was involved in the photos young too, because she was very upset about the thought of them getting released. However, considering what we know about her first husband, the reaction does make sense. And then finally, Caitlyn Jenner did cause an accident that led to a fatality. Despite having such a serious outcome, people don't really talk about this a lot. It did happen while Caitlyn was coming out, so people were focused on something very different. However, fans online speculate that the family has done things to minimize the media coverage of the incident. In the end, it's not difficult information to find if you're looking for it, and once you go searching, you will see that. Though Jenner didn't go to jail for the incident, she did have to pay about $800,000 to settle one of the lawsuits. It was found that Jenner was going under the speed limit and did hit the brakes, but it wasn't enough to stop the incident from happening. Honestly, it is a miracle that things didn't go worse. Jenner caused a 4-car pileup, one of which had a whole family inside, including young ones. While it is heartbreaking that not everyone made it out, the medical team was able to save most of that family with minimal injuries.
At number 10, we have Kris's known manipulation and exploitation tactics. Kris managed to land herself a talk show deal in 2013, but her show struggled with ratings, and Kris was soon pulling all types of wild stunts to rack up the views viewer count and overall interest of the general public. One of these instances involved Kris making an announcement of, quote, introducing someone very special to her audience. Of course, when she walked in with a baby, everyone had naturally assumed it would be Northwest, who had yet to be revealed to the world at that point. However, the baby ended up being her stylist's newborn. Luckily for her show's future, after that stunt, Kris managed to score the first exclusive picture of North, which was revealed on her show alongside guest Kanye West. At number 9, we have Kris's over-the-top behavior. For starters, she has the Keeping Up with the Kardashian theme as her doorbell tune. Not only this, but in 2016, Kris officially filed to trademark the term momager. She even apparently owns a personalized bathrobe with the same term across the back. I'd say it's low-key weird that she decided to trademark being a manager and a mom, since there are many who existed before her and continue to exist after her. Also, don't get me started on the artwork in the foyer of her home that shows her and her family covered by a painting of Snow White eating the poisoned apple. And while we're on the topic of her home, unsurprisingly enough, if you ever decide to pop a visit to Kardashian, you'll be super glad to know that there's a featured table with a pile of hundreds of non-disclosure agreement papers positioned for anyone who enters to sign before they're welcomed in. Nearby there's a frame which quotes the old saying, "What we say here, we see here. Let it stay here when we leave here." At number 8, we have her obsession with appearances. Tying into the last part of the point before, Kris has done far more to keep up with her and her family's untouchable image. 6 weeks before Kim's wedding to Kris Humphries in 2012, Kris got her neck and face lifted to ensure she looked her best for their big day. Following this, she described the surgery as transcendental and a life-changing experience. At number 7, we have her children and how much distance they've put between them and their mother. Robert, for one, completely removed himself from his entire family, as Kris would make constant overbearing comments about his weight and personality. Whether or not she knew this was damaging to Rob over time, it was, so that should say a lot about Kris's parenting skills and family dynamics over the years. Even Kendall, who seems to be doing really well for herself and avoiding the reality portion of her Kardashian expectations, has banned Kris and the rest of her family from almost all of her shows. Kendall did this due to the paparazzi and fans creating buzz over her entire family instead of her at her own events. It's genuinely sad that her mom has spent so many years chasing fame and big bucks that Kendall can't even attend her own shows without the media going into a straight frenzy. Despite most children wanting their parents to be with them while they achieve success, Kendall would rather not, and really, I don't blame her. At number 6, we have probably the weirdest red flag on this list, and that's Kris copying Kim's style. Kim has openly complained non-stop on their show about how annoyed she is over her mom copying her sense of fashion and, quote, stealing her spotlight. Of course, Kris seems to be a bit unreasonable in this sense, but hey, I'm not a parent, so what would I know? As a daughter myself though, if my mom ever started directly jacking my style, I'd like to think I'd make a big deal out of it too. It's quite tacky and really irritating for parents to try to be cool and act like more of a best friend rather than a parent to their kids, and that shows through the Kardashian children's upbringings. Of course, there's no problem in being a friend to your child, but there has to be boundaries to this and lines that are not crossed. Unfortunately, I don't think Kris understands this because she's constantly stepping into the friend zone, and in turn, her mothering pretty much goes out the window. At number 5, we have Kris Jenner's selfish tendencies. She is remarkably such a parent in a sense where everything has to go her way and under her saying, but she seems to go so overboard with this ideology. The driveway looking a certain way to their neighbors, if they were to ever use it for its actual purpose, because God forbid anyone did that, is just one instance of many. There's also the fact that not one single being, especially a man, has the ability to divide their family unless it benefits them on the fame scale. And if they do manage to squeegee their way in, they're completely pushed out of the picture to make room for someone who's willing to get the job done. I mean, if this is what we're seeing on screen, can you imagine the absolute self-centered and selfish behavior she exudes when the cameras aren't rolling? Not to mention, she enjoys playing favorites and even once stated that Kim was her favorite daughter of the bunch. I mean, it's obvious why, as Kim is responsible for the entire Kardashian startup, but it's still grossly wrong for a parent to enable this type of mindset. At number 4, we have Kris, who used to constantly ignore the Jenner sisters. As their stepmom, by no means is it her official responsibility to care for them, but at the very least, just acknowledge them. Back when Caitlyn identified as Bruce and Kris was still a Jenner by choice, Kris was displayed on the show to constantly shy away from spending any extra time with Kendall or Kylie, or even simply being in their presence. The trio never looked quite comfortable being alone together, and the Jenner sisters were rarely or reluctantly invited to their family vacations. And this wouldn't necessarily be as bad if their families' loads of boyfriends weren't also being invited to these family vacations, while two of their key players are missing. I'm not sure if it's because Kris didn't consider them to be hers, or if they weren't bringing in enough bank at the time to be important, but it does strike me as odd how much she seems to love and always want them around now that they're both huge household names. At number 3 we have Kim, a grown woman with her own children now, accusing her mother of being a bad parent. This just seems to be the icing on the cake of truth in regards to actually being a bad mom, when your own daughter raising a family is the one airing you out, regardless of whether Kim stated this during a heated argument or not. And speaking of Kim, when she was reluctant to pose for Playboy back in 2007, Kris was all for it and told her in short, quote, honor the tradition set by Marilyn Monroe and Janet Jackson. Once Hugh Hefner demanded more nudity, Kris was also the one to insist Kim shoot nude, aside from the dozen strings of carefully placed pearls on her body, despite Kim's hesitance. Luckily, Kim took her revenge by forcing Kris to do a naked shoot of her own, donning a single American flag alongside Caitlyn's gold medal. Unsurprisingly enough, Kris pulled it off and later had the image blown up and framed. At number 2 we have Kris being the ultimate micromanaging control freak. This is literally her entire personality wrapped up in a pretty bow. Her nannies have zero room to question her or her daughters and must do everything they say, even if they don't agree with their parenting styles. Photos only happen on Kris's terms, so for the Kardashian Jenner crew or anyone who works under them, taking photos comes at a huge price. For example, reportedly their nannies cannot take images while on the clock, especially of the kids, as this typically runs for a lot of money for publications. Kris forces her daughters to follow guidelines when they post on social media. They even have a fee schedule confirmed by Kris herself. Kris must micromanage at all times, and by this, she must run her household exactly how she sees fit. At number 1 we have Kris's uncanny ability to bank off her family. She self-brands herself as Grandmager amongst her Momager title, so it's no surprise she was elated to learn there would be 3 new bundles of joy expanding her family. Obviously her emotions were routed in a different kind of happiness though, as she only really sees the monetary value in her current grandchildren. At one point, Kim, Kylie, and Khloe were all set to welcome their children into the bunch around the same time, and all Kris saw were dollar signs amidst the news. She later opened up about the possibilities of releasing a Keeping Up with the Kardashians spin-off centered around her and her 6 grandkids, Mason, Penelope, Rain, North, Saint, and Dream. If that doesn't tell you this is Kris's biggest red flag, I'm just not sure what will.